welcome to The Bigger Picture. My name is John Kinney, and I want to let you know that The Bigger Picture is an online platform that we have created because we are all going through difficult times. 2020 has been quite a year for most of us. And you know, whenever you're going through something difficult, we think that you need to step back and gain greater perspective. And so the reason we created this online platform called The Bigger Picture is to do that. We're trying to step back and see life in a greater way. Today we're going to be doing that. We have a special guest with us that my co-host Yannik Mackey is going to introduce to you today. And so thank you for joining us. We know that this is going to be just an incredible conversation for you to hear today. Yannik?
Our first pilot episode was about peace, the bigger picture of peace. And we asked a critical question, and that is, what if peace wasn't the absence of something, but rather the presence of something? What if peace wasn't the absence of problems, but the presence of Christ? And so it is with that thought in mind, we wanted to introduce Easy Coar. His real name is Matthew, but all his friends call him Easy. And Easy has gone through some difficult situations that he'll talk more about during the midst of this pandemic. And Easy has exemplified what it means to have peace. And so I want to introduce to you a great friend of mine. He has gone through so much over the last few months, and I want Easy to be able to teach all of us how we can maintain peace in the midst of a pandemic. And so Easy, I want to thank you, man, for just being such a light and an inspiration in our community, to John and us. And thank you for joining The Bigger Picture. Why don't you tell John and our audience where we initially met and how we grew to be such good friends?
Do we have enough time?
Probably not.
Well, I first met this fella at Georgia Southern many years ago. Over what was?
Not too many. No, we ain't that old.
Well, the gray in our beards will probably tell you otherwise. Yeah, but. Met this fella on the campus of Georgia Southern, man, and he was always a cool fella walking around. For the longest time, I thought he was from New York, and come to find out he was really from Atlanta.
I remember, I think you were part of a fraternity, the Omegas, and y'all used to know how, y'all used to have a real good time on campus, didn't you?
Yeah, we did a little bit. We did lots of community service. We did everything that we were supposed to do. We were wholesome. And I'll just leave it at that. No, we really did have a good time, man. And anytime you're in any kind of social organization or fraternal organization, the eyes of campus are on you, and you do promote this, promote that, and you're doing different things around the campus, and so you kind of get well known from stuff like that.
Yeah, we have. Obviously, in school, we didn't know each other very well, but over the last few months, I can honestly say that we've grown closer, and you've become a real inspiration in our community, to myself and to John, and we just want to thank you for your time and really being the epitome of what it means to have peace.
Yeah, the thing that is so amazing about your story that has hit me and I think so many others, and I just met you just today, just before this interview, but I feel like I know you in some way, is that you have gone through pain, yet what has been maintained in the midst of that pain is your peace. And so we want to understand how to have peace in the middle of pain, because folks are going through things, but you've gone through incredible pain, still living in that. The community got some difficult news on August 9th. Tell us about that.
Well, on August 9th, that is when I got the news, and of course it was the community that my wife, Coar, who was a nurse over at Augusta University Medical Center, she passed away due to complications from COVID-19, which is, a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking feeling for myself and my two boys and my family as well, and her family, of course, for sure. But this is, I'm gonna tell you guys this too. This is kind of unrelated to her, but not many people know that a week later my best friend died. It wasn't from COVID, but he died too. So she died on the 9th, he died on the 15th.
In August.
But not a lot of people know that because a lot of focus has been on, me dealing with her. Right. But I've also had to kind of deal with that because we grew up together, best man at my wedding, I was the best man at his wedding. So back-to-back weekends, I dealt with that. But not a lot of people know that. And I'm not saying that for a pat on the back.
No, I mean, thank you for sharing that.
I meant to tell you that, I meant to tell you that the last time you and I talked, but just didn't get around to it. So that was, dealing with that, didn't make it any easier, but yeah, so I had to deal with that, back-to-back weekends. I buried my wife one weekend and found out he died, and his funeral was the next. And then they asked me to speak at his funeral.
Goodness.
Of course, I could have turned it down.
Right.
But they wanted to give me the opportunity to at least say no. So they did ask me, and by the strength from God, I was able to get up there and do my 2 or 3 minute spiel for him because I felt I owed him that because it was my best friend.
Right.
So I made it through it, and with all that aside, I've still, like I said, found peace in all of this. Just because I know the Lord is working on me, my family, my support system has been amazing, and it actually has brought me peace. Now, it's not, obviously I'll never get over it, the death of my wife or him, but more importantly, my wife, but the goal is to get through it. Won't get over it, but to get through it. And that's the peace, part of the peace that I have.
How old was your wife?
40. She just turned 40 in June.
So young. And your boys, how old are they?
8 and 5. Okay. My 5-year-old just turned 5 in September, so about a month and a half after she passed away.
Goodness.
Evan and Maddox.
Yes, Evan is my oldest. He's 8. Maddox is my youngest. He's the 5-year-old.
What keeps you going during these difficult times? Because you say you have maintained your peace. The loss of your wife one week, loss of your best friend the next week. Can you help our audience understand what peace looks like in the midst of that level of pain?
Oh man, I don't know what. It's kind of hard to put into words what actually peace looks like. I tell you, peace to me are Evan and Maddox. Mm-hmm. They are actually, obviously the Lord that's who over everybody, everything is giving me the peace and the strength to get through all this. But those two boys are what really brings me peace, and they keep me going. They keep me motivated because I know I can't stop.
Wow.
She wouldn't want me to stop.
Yeah.
And if I stop, then what are they going to do? They can't see, okay, I lost my mom, and now my dad is over in the corner balled up all day, every day. I have to keep going for them because I know that's what she would want. I have my bad days, my bad moments during the day, but I know I have to keep going for them. I have to. And, I have to be strong for them. They're strong for me. They've helped me in ways that they don't even know it. So they are what motivates me, and they are my peace to get me through.
The first time we talked about peace. This is all peace part 2, but in a very real way. It's easy to just talk about peace and to get all theological and share about peace. And, we said peace is the presence of God, not the absence of something in your life. So it's easy to talk about that. And you're like sitting here talking about it. The presence of God is what we said. But when you were sharing, I was like, that is so true, so powerful, that peace is also the presence of other people in our lives. Because you just named your boys. Evan and Maddox, for you, are like God's presence, very 100%. Real in your life. I mean, that just hit me. Like, it's not It's also the people we surround ourselves with, man, that bring us what we need. I think, is that what you're saying?
Yes, no, 100%, 100%. Like I said, they are definitely my piece, and I have a wonderful support system. That's friends, family, co-workers, whoever.
You have to, man.
I've had a wonderful group of people to help me get through it. But like I said, those two boys are really, they're my heart, my inspiration, and my motivation to continue to get through this. And they probably always will be, later on down the line. I just want to, hopefully they'll see the strength in me, that they'll continue to be stronger as they get older as well.
How are they handling it? If we can we ask that?
No, yeah, ask whatever. They're doing fine. My 5-year-old, I think he understands a little bit, but maybe not as much as my 8-year-old. My 5-year-old, he has moments where at night he may cry out for her. He may see a picture if I take him to see her at the cemetery. But he's gotten better. He doesn't really have those moments as much. My 8-year-old is that fella has been a rock.
Wow.
A rock for me. He initially, when he found out, he cried and had his emotions, but it's like from then on, I guess he's just a God saying, like, all right, I have to be here to make sure my dad is good, because he really hasn't shown much emotion since. And I know some people are like, well, you need to make sure he's not having it bottled up or holding all in. And I'm doing my best to make sure it's not the case.
Right.
I have his teachers at school checking on him. He's doing fine in school. I talk to him on a regular. Hey, if you ever need to talk, let me know. Let's talk, whatever the case may be. But if there's a time I'm crying, I feel an arm or hand on my back, on my shoulder, say, hey, Dad, you okay? Are you okay? Or why are you crying? And I tell him he'll come hug me. When Maddox is having a moment, he's hugged him and told him it'll be okay. He said, hey, Dad, he can come get in the bed with you if he needs to.
Wow.
One story in particular,
It's all right, man.
so my September 25th would have been my wife and our 10th anniversary.
Goodness.
So, when we got married, a buddy of mine gave us an expensive bottle of champagne. And she did not want to open that bottle then. She wanted to wait for our 10th anniversary. Obviously, that didn't happen. So the day before her funeral, the boys and I got to go see her on our own. And I'm talking to her like, hey, I'm still, unfortunately you're not here, but I still have that bottle. That bottle sat in our refrigerator for 10 years. And so I'm talking to her like, hey, well, I guess I'm, still trying to do whatever I can to celebrate our 10th anniversary. And my 8-year-old is like, Dad, well, you can still open that bottle. You just get a picture of Mom, put it next to you.
Wow.
And you can still open that bottle and celebrate. And I just kind of like, well, all right, I guess I need to suck it up. This 8-year-old telling me what to do.
You should have gave him a drink.
Exactly.
for bringing that up.
Exactly, but that just exemplifies the strength that he has as an 8-year-old, and the insight he has to put that in context, to realize that physically she's not here, and physically we can't celebrate our anniversary the way we want to, but I still can celebrate her in the way that he mentioned.
And you as he loves you, man. I mean, I have boys, and he knows your heart, and he's looking out for your heart. That's just amazing the way your boys are giving you that strength, man. I mean, goodness, they saw what you needed.
And what I don't want our audience to miss, and again, man, thank you for sharing this. Your tears are going to strengthen
That's right.
others, man. So just your level of transparency, and I can't wait to see what God continues to do in and through your family. And I want to make sure we don't miss this, because God knows what we're going to go through before we do. And when the Bible says that he will supply all of your needs according to his riches and glory, those two boys were a part of him supplying that need.
For sure.
And we oftentimes look at God's grace, and sometimes we miss the conduit. We look around and we're like, okay, God, I want you to do something, but we miss God uses people, right? Like every time God wants to do something in the earth, he uses.
That's the whole story of Scripture. Every time God uses people.
And for Evan and Maddox, at this age,
amazing,
to be used by God. I don't want to skate by that. I don't want to overlook that. They are being used by God.
No, I believe 100%. 100%. I know that they are. And like I said, they've helped me in more ways than they know or probably will ever know. No matter how many times I tell them, or will tell them in the future, they have given me strength or been stronger than I have, and they've been super helpful. And the fact that God is using them for that has helped me find that peace and made it, I won't say easier to deal with, but I guess more tolerable to deal with. 'Cause like I said, there's nothing that I'll ever get over. It's just getting through it, and they definitely helped me, or helping me to get through it.
When people go through things, I was sitting here thinking, people have been hit by things this year. Most people not to the level of what you've experienced. So our listeners are hearing this, and people start well, gosh, I shouldn't be complaining or this or that when somebody's gone through that. Everybody goes through things in different ways. But what's interesting to me is that when pain hits a person, when suffering hits a person, sometimes they go in the opposite direction of what you're saying.
Yeah.
What has kept you where you are? I know the boys, right? So that's and I think that's obvious. Your boys have kept you. You've still got to be their father. You're hearing that. I've got to guide them. Sometimes people fall apart though, and we're allowed to fall apart, obviously, but you got to keep going for them. And that, what's kept you where you are and not going the other direction? People go in really bad directions sometimes.
Everybody doesn't respond the way that you responded.
And that's the thing, I'll answer your question in a second. But, you saying that everybody else respond the way I have, and, you said I'm an inspiration. And I tell you, I don't know how I'm an inspiration. I'm not doing anything extraordinary. I'm just trying to be myself.
I would argue with that, but that's okay.
I'm just trying to be myself and be the best man and father I can to my kids. It's not like I'm purposely going out and saying, all right, this is the blueprint of what I'm doing during these times. But to answer your question, 100%, I have to give all the credit to God. All the credit has to go to God, 100%, 1,000%, because obviously without him, without my faith in him, I may have veered off the beaten path. I may have went to a dark corner, but he has helped me do this. He's put people in my life to help me get through this. It's funny that you say that, and I'm answering that question. Is before my wife passed, while she was in the hospital sick, it seemed like she had people that were taking care of her on the inside because I couldn't go see her, but they were kind of reporting to me, And I had a lot of people checked on me on the outside, but there were a certain group of people that checked on me constantly, religiously, and it hit me one day. I'm like, man, the Lord has angels on the inside helping her, and He's appointed these angels to me. It was 5 of them, 5 people, and they each served a different purpose in my life at that time to help me get through that. This is before she passed. This is why when she was in getting sick, and those same people are still helping me and with me and help guide me through even afterwards.
Goodness.
Because once typically when somebody passes away, it gets quiet.
Yeah.
You have 1,000 people checking on you prior to, but once the casket closed and they put the dirt over it, everybody goes back to their normal life, but not me.
Right.
So it gets a little quiet then, but 100% God has given me the strength. I know it comes from Him, and then, like I said, He won't let me ball up. He's not gonna let me, and I'm probably jumping the gun, but it kind of puts me in the mind of the Jeremiah 29:11 verse, and which my wife so loved. She had it on her board, in her office, that long as you trust and believe pretty much in God's work, in His words, He's going to provide for you. He's going to provide a future for you.
That's right.
You just have to stick to His script or believe and have faith, and He'll provide for you.
I know the plans that I have for you. Yeah. I want to make sure our audience doesn't miss this, because I want it to be extremely practical, because I want people who are suffering to walk away with some clear next steps. When you're suffering through immense pain, make sure you focus on what you do have versus what you don't. And the reason I say that is because it's clear that Easy has put his energy into what God has blessed him with versus being angry about what he could feel God has taken away. And the reason that's so key for me, Easy, is because you know my story. I lost both of my parents to AIDS. And when I felt like God took my parents away, and I responded very negatively, when there were some things I could have been more receiving of and thankful for, but I didn't have that attitude initially, and I had to go through more pain because of that. And so again, the reason I said I would argue with you that what you're doing isn't extraordinary is because I'm speaking first, and I'm one of the pastors at the table. I did not respond the way that you did. So I want people to understand that no matter how faithful you consider yourself, we all run the risk of turning away from God and being angry because we miss the blessings of what He has given us when we focus on what we don't have. And so that's key. And then the other point I want to make sure that people understand is that God's strength, when we allow Him to, will be made perfect in our weaknesses, because it sounds like what you're saying is, I know that there's something greater than me that's allowing me. Am I putting words in your mouth?
No. That's right. That's right. Because it's not me. I can't take any credit for it. Like I said, I know where my strength comes from. Like I said, when I told you when we talked before, and you're right. I have to focus on the things I have, because I can be mad at what I don't have, and obviously that's my wife, and I would love for her to still be here. But I'm blessed, and still have those 2 boys that are a byproduct of her.
Right.
So of course I see her in them. And I still plan on raising them the way that her and I talked about raising them, doing the things that we talked about doing with and for them. But like I said, I can't turn my back on God. He's done so much for me in my life, even aside from my wife being gone. He's done so much for me, my family, anything. So I can't turn my back on him. As angry as I could be, or I could say why, but I can't question him. He doesn't make mistakes. And I honestly haven't been mad with him during this situation. You know, I've talked to other people, you know, that are close to us, other family members who are, you know, I mean, I know God doesn't make mistakes, but I think He made a mistake with this one. I'm like, I see what you're saying. I understand that, but He doesn't make mistakes, and everything happens for a reason, you know. And I knew, you know, and I know He knows when we're gonna die. He knows when every move we make, He knows it. Then when we got married September 25th, 2010, He knew that we wouldn't make it to 10 years, the exact 10-year mark, you know. But I was thankful. I've known her for 18 years. I'm thankful for the time I had with her and got to know her, and you know, for the 2 boys that we have, you know. So I'm thankful for that.
I think that's why we sit here. You know, I know I'm sitting here going, what would it feel like to sit in your seat? You know, I think most people would say, I don't want to sit in that seat. If we're being honest.
I wouldn't put this on anybody.
I think what's so amazing to us is your peace. I mean, it's like I said, it's easy to preach about peace. It's easy to talk about peace. People are going through difficulty. But, I mean, you don't have to be a hero. It's almost like you just have to cling to God, is what you're saying, and the peace that you're experiencing, that says in one scripture in Philippians, it surpasses human understanding. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, how do you have this? That's my human.
It's not supposed to make sense.
I know, and I'm the preacher and I'm supposed to know this. But when you talk to somebody, the most incredible people I've ever been around are people who have experienced incredible pain and have peace. I know people who have lost children. I know people who have lost spouses. I know people who have gone through things. I know people who are dying of cancer. I know. And they have their peace. I go, I need that. Like, and they always tell me it's not a thing, it's a person. So, Easy, you commented on a message, Yannik was telling me about this, that he gave, a sermon, and it was 1 Thessalonians 5:18, which says this. Listen to this, y'all. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And I'm like, man, that's easy to do when things are going well, but it says all circumstances. And you commented on that. What was that about? What'd you say?
So, you know, obviously God has a funny way of putting things before you when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
So I would just, like I told you earlier, I have good times and bad times.
Sure.
And then, you know, sometimes you're just kind of sitting there and your mind's wandering off and you get a little sad or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I would just, you know, scrolling through Facebook and come across his message. I caught it right maybe like a minute or two before. I said, oh, let me click on that and just watch it. And probably about a minute after that, it went into that verse. And it just shed a whole lot of light on things, you know, because, and I told him, I said, man, I needed that, you know, because you do have to sit in spite of everything that's going on, you have to be thankful, not in some circumstances, not in good circumstances, not in bad, but all circumstances. Not just when he gives you money to be thankful, but even in times of death, you have to be thankful. And that goes back to what I said to you guys earlier. I'm thankful that I still have the support group I have, the 5 angels that I said that was put around me, and my boys. It's so much that I have still to be thankful for. Obviously, I would love for Yolanda to be here. Yeah. I would like not to be even doing this podcast and interview, to be honest with you. But there are so many other things that I still have to be thankful for. You know, I'm still up here alive for my boys. Yeah. You know, and continue her legacy on. So I'm definitely, you know, thankful for that. And like I told him, I said, man, I needed that. And it just kind of put a different perspective on things, that you do have to be thankful in everything, you know, because he never said it's going to be easy.
Right. Nah,
you know?
No, clearly
not. It's not going to be easy.
Like life's a game, and it's certainly on expert. You know what I mean?
I've never heard that. There's no cheat code.
No cheat code. Like, this is not easy.
Well, he's the cheat code.
Yeah.
He's the cheat code. He's the cheat code.
Well, you know, that's just to chime in on that for 1 second, is I think sometimes Christianity gets presented as it's all going to be easy. It is not true. You go through difficulty, and suffering. It's part of the Christian journey. We don't know when it's coming. I often say it's like a wave at the beach. You know, you build your sandcastle, and then the wave comes, and then another one comes. We just have no idea when that's going to happen. And so,
Correct.
I mean, your story and the inspiration and how you've walked with Christ in it and been a light for Him, man, is so powerful. And it demonstrates to people. I think people need to hear that when you're going through something difficult, it doesn't mean that you're less of a Christian, or you are pushing through this, not just getting through, not pushing through. Yeah. And it's just so inspirational.
We're still human, not perfect by far. We're still human. So.
Yeah. But again, practical steps for our audience. What is your perspective of your pain? Meaning, can I be thankful because I believe that my pain is going to lead to God's plan? And so I think it's very important for all of us as we go through the valleys of life to understand that God is with us and that we still have things to be thankful for, even not if it's about this life, right? Because you will see Yolanda again. Mm-hmm. She will see the boys again. Wow. There is something still to be thankful for, if nothing other than this isn't the only life we're going to live, right? Yeah, right. And so what I love about what you're saying is your faith has become realer in the midst of this storm. And that again is something to be thankful for. Yeah. And I just know that God is going to continue to encourage you, open up doors, and allow you and Evan and Maddox and the relationship and with all those angels just to continue to flourish. What have you been doing on a daily basis to kind of continue to help you maintain this positive perspective?
Pray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's, I guess, definitely. That would be the obvious answer to that question. Pray for sure. My two boys are probably some of the most active 8 and 5-year-olds you ever meet, so they keep me busy, which is good. I keep them busy, which is good. So that kind of keeps me going. So I don't have a lot of downtime, even though I know I probably should have some downtime, but. We keep going. We just going because that's how it was before she passed away. Yeah. So we're just trying to keep things as normal as I can for them. I have, I guess, journal directly / indirectly. Since she's passed, I think people have sent me 2 or 3 journals to write because they say it's therapeutic. Mm-hmm. And at first I wasn't writing anything. Well, let me step back. I never really wrote anything down. She was always the one that would write things down, plan stuff out. She'd get a calendar, like, hey, will you have this date? Will you have this date? And you get stuff all over the calendar. I just kind of go with it. But when she was sick, I said, you know what? Just to help me, so when she comes through, she gets better, I can say, look, here's what happened this day, that day. So I actually started journaling then. Just each day I would write down, hey, this happened. The boys did this. The boys did that. This is why she was still alive but was sick. That way I could show it to her. And it also helped me to remember, like, you went from this extreme to this extreme. Or you were this sick, but you got well on this day. So I do have that. And then people have since then said to continue that, him being one. But I didn't always initially write it, and I would post things on Facebook, and then another friend of mine said, hey, you wrote in that journal? And I said, no, not physically, no. He says, you're journaling whether you realize it or not, even though you may not be writing it down on paper. And then when she was sick, a friend of mine said he had a dream that when she got out of the hospital, she was going to write a book. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but maybe, him and I talked about this, maybe, I don't know. I don't see myself writing a book, but whatever God's plan is for me, and I guess it's his plan, he gave me some advice on how to journal, and maybe it'll all come through into some type of book, or kind of like your situation. That's one of the ways. Another way I've kind of dealt with it, and it may be crazy to some, but it's like I almost face the fact that she's not here. I put myself in the fire just to see if I can deal with it or to kind of get it out of the way. Meaning, when most people lose a loved one, they don't want to go into that room, or don't want to go back into the house or touch the clothes, because everything's going to be left the same way it was before they left, just like our house was. Everything was the way it was when I took her to the hospital. So when she passed, you just kind of go. I went in there and just said, you know what, I just got to embrace it. She's not here. Let's get this out the way, because running from it will not save you. So people won't look at the clothes. They won't go in the drawers. They won't smell the scents. I went in there, and I guess it's like a TV, something off TV. I went through the closet, looked at the clothes, touched the clothes, smelled the clothes. I laid across the bed.
Wow.
I went into the bathroom, opened up the drawers where makeup was, and looked at that stuff. But that was kind of in a sense therapeutic to me. Not it may not be the best for everybody else, because whether they can handle it or not, I don't know. But I always been kind of the one that's, all right, this is what's going on. This is a bad situation. I need to throw myself in it for whatever reason. I don't know, but it helps me. It may not help you, but it helps me.
I think it's something biblical to that. I like to call it enduring versus exiting. The Bible says that for the joy set before Christ, he endured the cross. And because he endured the cross, he is now sitting at the right hand of the Father. So it's something about embracing your pain that will put you in your purpose. Jesus' purpose was to serve at the right hand of God's throne. So he got there through embracing the cross, and that put him in his ultimate position of purpose. So when I hear you say, you know what, Yannik, it may sound crazy, which doing Christian things usually do. It's nothing that makes sense about how we serve God and our faith, etc. And so, it does sound crazy to really immerse yourself in that pain, but I do think it's something supernatural that happens at that point, because as we said, his strength is made perfect in that weakness. And so I think that is an opportunity for God to show up even greater, and through that push you even further into the purposes that he has for you. So again, I don't care what you say, what you're doing is extraordinary. It's supernatural. You're a natural man. Like you say, I make mistakes, Yannik. I don't have good days every day, but that's not what a Christian lifestyle is. It says a righteous man falls 7 times,
Gets up again.
but he gets up again. So it's not about perfection. It's about persistence. And I think I sent you a text, if you don't mind me sharing. Easy was saying, you know what, Yannik, I just had a bad day, man. Some things didn't go the way I planned, and just to sum it all up, I was like, man, don't you dare think about beating yourself up, man. You're enduring. Like, things are not gonna go perfect. That's an unrealistic expectation, man. You running circles around these dads out here, man. Like I said, straight up what I said, I was like, man, I think I'm an excellent father, and you make me feel like crap, bro. Like please stop sharing, man.
But that's it. That's not my purpose in this text.
Like you make me, I'm like a deadbeat dad, man. Like, but again, like for you all that are struggling, it is okay. You're gonna fall. You're gonna make mistakes. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody understands what's going on. Nobody went to school for this. But as long as you get back up, if you don't walk away from this with anything else, know that you can get back up. Know that you can endure. And God can bring purpose out of your pain. So I just want to thank you, bro.
Thank you guys for having me.
You're amazing, man.
I appreciate it.
Such an inspiration. You know, as we're closing this up, I was thinking about this. There are times, oftentimes actually at a celebration of life service is what I call it, but you know, sometimes people say a memorial service, a funeral service. I'll often start by saying what we feel like right now is crawling up in God's lap and we want to pound on his chest. And at the same time, we want him to just embrace us. And I just kept having that image about, you know, on the bad days, sometimes you just, and whether it's anger, and some people may be angry at God. Yeah. I like to say to people, it's okay. He can take it. Pound on his chest. If you need to ask the why question, ask the why question. All that. But then let God embrace you. And that can't be said in a typical sermon, really, without the reality of what you've seen here. I mean, you are seeing a man who has let God embrace him in the most difficult pain. So, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I was able to.
Yeah. And we wanna be able to support you. I know that you and the boys, you all have needs.
That's right.
You're doing an excellent job of continuing to push and provide for them, but still, if there is anybody that would like to support, we do have a GoFundMe set up for Easy and his two boys, and so that information will be on your screens. Please feel free to support him and his family as he continues to turn his adversity into purpose.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Friends, as we close this out, I just want us to remember that peace is possible and really probable in your life if you will focus on the presence of God rather than always the problem. And we've seen that in a very real way today. So our next episode is going to air. We are airing the Bigger Picture episodes on the first Wednesday of each month. So the next one will be December 2nd, but I don't want to push there too quickly except to tell you it's coming. And then we would really love it if you would share this story with others. So share it through the media and the platforms that we have. Tell your friends. There are people, not just you, but in your life, in your circle, family, friends, coworkers, people that if you just hit the share button are going to just hear this story and it's going to speak to them. So please share it, because y'all, stepping back and seeing God at work and seeing the bigger picture is what it's all about. Thank you for joining us.